It is such an
Thank
honor
you.
to be a part of this tonight. It is AM in South Africa, but I'm more than alive and more than excited to be joining you guys. My name is Nonhlanhla Mthembu. I am 43 years old in South Africa, Gauteng. I had just informed Gertrude why I want to do this. Any platform that says to me, you can impart knowledge and use your own experiences to help other women decide, create, heal, and become better women is a platform that I am born for, is a platform that I think and believe that God creates for me to serve his purpose. Right? Why am I here and why do I think I have a story that could help other people? So here it goes. I became a mom at the age of 50. My son was born when I was only 15. Nobody prepares you for motherhood when you are 15. Nothing, actually, not even your body parts are ready for you to carry a child at the age of 15. However, that is what happened to me. Fast forward to today. Why am I doing what I'm doing today? Why do I think my story can help other people? Here's what happened. I was listening to Kim now, and she's mentioning how we have a better us that we have not even met, a better us that God has created, and we need to move into that space where we meet our better selves so that we are able to live our lives. I fully agree with that. I love that. And I believe that that is the crux of women becoming better. There's a part about my story, though, that goes along with what she said, but in the opposite direction. This is how my conversation with God turned out. God said to me, there's a part of you that you lost. You lost it back there when you lost your virginity. You lost it back there when you thought you were nothing. For the fact that you had a child when you were 15, you thought nobody would ever love you. You bring up your children as a single mother, you thought you don't deserve better. And you thought all of that made you less of a woman. And I had to go back and reach out to the 15-year-old girl that I lost when I became a mom. I had to go back and reach out to her because I needed her. I needed to make her feel better. I needed to remind her that she is a woman in progress. Today, I have a company that is called Women in Progress, and it is through that company that I am helping women and helping young girls become women because I realized that from the age of 15, I was already being prepared to be a woman. And this was a process that I had to embrace. This was a process that I had to accept. Now, here's the thing about how I use my story to help people. We do so many things, and we always go back to saying, no, I actually did wrong because I was brought up this way, because I had a child when I was young, because I could not find a man who'd love me, because I had a child. Every time I fell into a relationship, I always had to think, is my baby going to be protected? Is my baby going to be loved? Because unfortunately, I couldn't be with the person that I had a child with. 12 years down the line, after I had started telling the story, I realized that I had not healed myself. And I had to go back to a point of healing. Now, what does healing takes? Healing takes accountability of you accepting that you have been broken. Healing takes forgiveness, not only God's forgiveness. Now, look, God's forgiveness is very important that you need to accept into your heart. But then there's the forgiveness that you need from yourself. Because until you forgive yourself, you'll always go back to giving reasons why you're not doing things right. What are those things that I'm referring to that are not right? After having a child at the age of 15, life continues. I was very lucky. I was very lucky. Today, when I coach mothers, I tell them to support their kids. That the fact that a child fell pregnant at the age of 15 does not mean you should cut them off. You should make them feel useless. Support your children. The reason why most girls go back to having children at teenagehood over and over again is because when it happens for the first time, time, even the community, even other women, they make them feel like they are useless. They make them feel like they are nothing. And that is why it becomes difficult for them to even love their children. Because somebody tells them that this was a mistake. Your child was born out of wedlock. They are worth nothing. But I'm now teaching communities and other women to say, embrace these girls, bring them up. Yes, they've made a mistake and a big one. However, their children are not mistakes. This child still deserves love, and they need to grow in an environment that is full of love. Okay, let me go back to the things that I'm referring to, where I'm saying, as women, after we've experienced some bad luck or have committed some mistakes, we actually continue to do more mistakes because we think, okay, there's no longer an opportunity of repentance here. Everybody has declared me that, oh, are you talking about that one that had a child at 15? What can she tell me? Okay. Continued with life. At the age of 23, I had my first abortion. Now, one would say, oh, maybe she had her reasons. Maybe she was still not married again. This was a second child. She must have been embarrassed to go back home with another child. All of those reasons are nothing. All of those reasons are just excuses. I was selfish. I was selfish. That is what I know today because I've decided to take accountability. When I became selfish, it became so easy that I ended up having over 2 abortions before I could even turn 35. And why did that happen over and over again is because even when it happened the first time, I never even forgave myself. I never even saw myself worthy of repentance. And that is why I went on to do that. But when I found God's forgiveness and I had to live in it, I then reached deep down in me and I said, there's a part of me that I lost, an innocent part of me that I lost. And I needed to go back and reach out to that part and say, come back. I know what you've done. I know you're feeling guilty. You know, when you talk about Herstories and women are talking about, I've listened to women say how much they've struggled in their marriages because they can't have children. When some of us would actually selfishly kill the children that God plants in us. But there's something about healing and there's something about accepting forgiveness that makes you realize that taking responsibility of what you did and walking in forgiveness, you can actually be able to help others. I do not believe, I do not believe that women who do things that hurt themselves can actually find it easy to heal in the open. But I'm coming out because I want to help people know. I want to help people know that you can live in full forgiveness. You can live in full repentance. But if you think there's nothing you can do for yourself, go out there and help another woman. Go out there and stop another woman from making the bad decisions that you yourself made. Whatever reason it is that would have made you do that, rise up again. And when you rise up, with you having taken responsibility of what you have done, make sure that even when you tell your story, let it be told with authenticity, because people don't buy into our messages because we sound nice. They don't buy into our messages because we cry when we speak. It is the authenticity that we put in this thing. It took me time to tell my story. I used to ask God, I said, God, I apologized to you. I am sorry I killed my children. You know why I did it. You know my reasons. Why would you want to make me go out there and tell people? People will still judge me. And God said, you see, you are worried about the person who did what you did. I am worried about the new you that you are today. And I want you to go back and tell that story, because in you telling it, you are proving that you are disconnected with that part. You are disconnected with that woman who made those decisions. Now it gets even deeper, right? Because you always sit and have these conversations with God and you say, God, can I do it? How am I going to do it? What if people start asking questions? What if people start pointing fingers at me? And I realized that this was deeper than I thought it was. I was selfish still again, because the first thing that came to my mind is what is going to happen to me? What are people going to say about me? Even when I made those decisions of having those abortions, it was all about me. But here's the reason why those abortions happened, and both of them under the same circumstance. It is because I was pregnant of a married man. One of the things I write about in my story, and one of the things that I always talk about, especially to women, is the pain that we cause to each other. Woman to woman pain hurts. It hurts. I know as the perpetrator, I also know this as a victim. But more than anything, I know this as a perpetrator because what life does to you is that it plays dice. You know, I always use that sentence that life will play dice on you. You will throw the dice and you will not know what number is going to give back to you. It might give you a 1, it might give you a 6. Life played the dice back at me when I got to a point and a stage in my life when I was asking myself, God, what is happening with me? I'm already 35. I am not sure a man who can love me, who can make a decent wife out of me. Now, the devil is very good with playing tricks with our minds. But I love the fact that if you can hear the voice of God, you will be able to even have that conversation with the devil. Because what the devil would do is that he would ask me, are you ready to meet you? Remember the you that you were, the you that would go and destroy other people's marriages. Are you ready to meet you? And I also had to sit down with myself and ask myself, Nonhlanhla, are you ready to deal with you? Are you strong enough to handle you? Because there's people who had to fight in their marriages because you were there. Because I was selfish. Again, I was selfish as a woman for believing that I could have what did not belong to me. All of that had to come to an end when I finally forgave myself. There was a time when I actually accepted God's forgiveness. As a Christian woman, I would pray and I knew God forgives. And I knew that my sins were washed away 2,000 years ago. But because I was not walking in my own forgiveness, which takes accountability, now and then I would still have a fling, I would still have a relationship here and there with a married man. The one that produced the 2 abortions, I stayed with the guy for 4 years. When that woman was not in her house, I would go in. I would take her children out for play dates. When I look at my children today and I ask myself, do they have to heal from the mistakes that I did? And I pray for those kids. Even in the story, I do include the letter of apology that I wrote to the woman, where I had to go back and say, I'm sorry, and thank you for fighting for what belongs to you. And today, I mince no words when I have to address women, especially single women, to tell them that, look, if you're thinking about it, if you're even thinking about it, stop it now. You woman, you are destroying one of God's most precious institutions, which is marriage. If you are in those relationships, get out. You go in there as nothing and you come back as nothing. The minute you make a decision to go and fall in love with a married man, just know that you left yourself at the door. You walked in empty. You are nothing. And for years, I wondered why I was feeling the way I was feeling. For years, I wondered why I doubted myself so much. It's because I had sold myself short. I had had other women, but more than anything, The person that I had the most was me. And I had to go back and reach out to that woman. I had to go back and reach out to that girl who was 32, going around having abortions because she's pregnant of a married man. Go back to her and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm here to pick you up because I need to continue with life and I cannot move with regret. I cannot move looking back and wondering, what is it that I did wrong? Every time something is not going well in my life, I start counting. How many people have you hurt? Why did you do that? I remember when my daughter was only 5 years and very sick. She was born as a premature. She was very sick, and at some point she had to be admitted. So she was born with one lung and the other one was not fully developed. So she had been a sickly child all her life until it got so worse and she was sick and she was lying in hospital for weeks. There's a prayer I prayed. I had not even repented then. I had not even forgiven myself. But God called me into a conversation with him. And I went in there and I said, God, I'm sorry. If you just keep her for me, I am sorry for what I did. But if you just keep her for me, I beg you. And that day, I knew that there's a message that I received that said, you have not forgiven yourself. And that is why you think you're being punished for what you did. Walking in forgiveness is a healing that takes too much. And that is why we need to be here as women who can open up about our lives so that we help those who think it is not possible to live beyond even your worst mistakes. And I'm here to say to women, I know we are very good in making up. We are very good in putting a facade and looking like all is well, all is perfect, and looking like we were born like this. We were born as speakers who are here to motivate people and make people make better decisions. But there's battles that we have inside. And let's show other women that they can actually also face their own battles. As a 15-year-old mom, I never imagined that one day I'll have to sit down with my son and say to him, please, I beg you not to go out there and treat girls the way I was treated as a little girl. Respect women, respect them. And God answered my prayers. My son did not become his dad. My daughter is 19. When she turned 15 and she was still my baby, she was still respectful. She was still safe and pure. I said, God, thank you, because history is not going to repeat itself. But it does not only end with my children. There's other kids that I also need to help out there so that they don't become me. One of the sentences that I love every time I give talks at school is that I always ask the students, boys and girls, to look at me and point a finger and say, I don't want to be like you. And to women on this chart today, to women on this group today, if you're a younger woman, if you are a single woman, and you even have a little idea in your mind to can attempt to go after somebody's man, please look at me, point a finger at me now and say, Nonhlanhla, I don't want to be like you. Ladies, thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. Break free of regret. Whatever it is, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. More than enough. Forgive yourself. Thank you.